Okay, here you go. It is the I can statements again. This is what you should say when you leave. I can do what? Determine the margin of what? Error. By the way, it's just a what? It's just a formula. It'll be so easy for you when we're done. Okay? At what percent?
95.
You want to be 95% confident that you can get the right answer. Okay, second thing, find the confidence interval. What is the interval? Well, I think the central students are between 5'5" and 5'9", average height. That's an interval. Okay? All right. And use the data from the sample survey to estimate a population mean, which, this is really easy. It's right there again. There's your estimation right there. Okay, so you've already seen me do a lot. You just don't know this one. How do you get the margin of error? Okay? All right. I'm going to be really quick here, guys. You don't have to write hardly anything down for about a couple slides. Just listen. The mean of the sample. You guys, you were my sample. We said you guys are 5'9". The mean of my sample may or may not be the mean of the population. Probably not. It's close, but it's probably not. The margin of error helps you find the interval. Over there, the margin of error was what? Wasn't it 2 inches?
2.
Yeah, 2 inches. Add 2, subtract 2. I mean, it helps. Likely to be okay. The margin of error is based on the size of the sample and the confidence interval. Okay, the size of the sample. Does it really matter? You guys are 20. Okay, would you trust 20 over 3?
Yeah.
So if I just took 3 of you and took your the average of 3 of you, you wouldn't trust it?
No.
Jay, how tall are you?
6 foot.
6 foot. Bryce, how tall are you? 6 foot. Brock?
6'1".
6'1". I took the tall people. Okay, here's why. I took 3 people in my sample. 6'1", 6'6". The average is 6 foot, ½ inch. Is that how tall central students are?
No.
No, you don't trust it because why?
Doesn't vary.
No,
It
no.
doesn't vary.
I picked a really, really what sample?
Small.
Small. I picked 3 people. You don't trust that, do you?
No.
No, you want me to pick what?
More.
Big samples. Okay, so the margin of error is based on what?
Size of the sample.
Yeah, it really is. And the other thing it's based on is the confidence interval. Like, are you 90% sure? Are you 95% sure? Are you 99% sure? That matters. But guess what today? We're not doing any of those except for what? This is us. Today we will only do what? 95%. That's us. But it really does matter because if you pick 99%, your confidence interval would change quite a bit. Okay? Once you know how far off you could be, how off are you? That's called the what? Margin of error. Once you know how off you can be, you can find out what interval the population is likely to be in. Right there. Okay? Okay, here's a couple circles, ovals for you. The population, and then the tiny little sample. What was our example about?
Height.
Height of who?
Students.
Of G, F, C, Grand Forks Central, what? Students. So this would be how many people? About 1,000 students. Okay, what sample did I take?
20.
I took you guys.
Oh.
I took room 327, 6th period, right? So that would be what? How many people?
20.
I only took 20 people. So if I only take 20 out of the 1,000, is this a real good sample?
No.
No, it's tiny. It's a tiny sample. I wouldn't trust this. So because I wouldn't trust this, that's when I went to room 331, 206, 200. I kept doing it. I kept doing it and doing it and doing it. The more sample I take, the better my data. Okay, next. If you know that the mean of the sample, oh, by the way, what's the mean? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What's the sample? There are 10 items in the sample, and it's very, very what?
Large.
I'm telling you, it's
Ours is
large.
12.
it does.
Yours says 12.
Yeah.
12 items?
Yeah.
Oh, 12 items, which is a very large sample. So what's the 108 stand for?
Standard deviation.
No, if you know that the mean of the sample is 108, this is the average. This is the mean of the sample. And the standard deviation is 10. What does that tell us about the mean of the population?
Spread out.
95%, right?
It's what?
Spread out.
Spread out 95%. It's not what you were supposed to get out of this. You were supposed to get this. The fact that I told you I took a large what? I took a large what?
Sample.
You were supposed to think, oh, he took a large sample? I can trust the average. If the average says 108, I can trust that the mean of the population will be really what? Close to 108. It's close. It could be 107. It could be 109. It could be 110. It's going to be close. Why? Because I took a what sample? Large. The large sample gave it away. Trust it. If it would have said small sample, I'd say, well, the average is going to be quite a ways from 108. It could be long ways that way or long ways that way. Who knows? The actual way. Here's how you try to figure things out. You try to find out the margin of error. Okay, let's read about this. It says, when we find the population mean for the sample mean, we will always be a little what? We're going to be a little bit off. We call that little bit off what?
Margin of error.
Okay, so how sure do we want to be on the margin of error? Well, we can pick this. We can pick, I want to be 90% sure, I want to be 95% sure, I want to be 99% sure, but I told you guys I don't want to do all these, because they're all the same. It's just a formula. I'm going to do just that one, 95% sure that my answer is correct. Okay, so how do you do it? It says right here, margin of error equals, and you guys are going to tell me, well, maybe you won't tell me, I'll tell you. What do they have here for you?
Z-score, I guess?
The z-score of what?
95.
CI. Okay, what's the z-score of CI? Well, what's CI? Confidence interval. Confidence interval. What confidence interval am I looking at?
95%.
95%. So you know what they do? They go in your table and they look it up. You want to be 95% sure your average is correct? They look it up, they get the z-score out of it, and guess what the z-score is? That's where that number comes from. It will never change. Because we're always looking for 95%. This will never change. Times S over square root of n. S is the standard deviation of the sample. So whatever they tell you, put it there. N is the sample size. 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, whatever they tell you, put it in. You okay with this? Now you know what the letters mean? Okay. This will never change. This will change, and this will change all the time. Okay. This over here is this over here. This is this, okay? You have this, by the way?
Nah.
You don't even have this slide?
No.
Oh, yeah. I've been talking about this all day, and nobody told me. Okay, well then let me just show you what's happening really quick. They want you to be 95% confident. Well, that just means pick the 95%, which would be like in here to here. And guys, if you want to be 95% confident, all your averages have to fall in this sliver here. So if I go straight down and straight down, there's 25 averages here. How many fell in there? Only one fell out. How many fell in here? 24 out of 25 fell in there, which is actually 96%. I'm 95% sure this data is correct, because look, all the averages fell inside 95%. So what percent fell outside? Just one out of what?
25.
which is, well, it's 4%. I'm sorry. I'm thinking something else right now. Okay. So guys, here's what it says. If you're 95% sure, it says in 95% of all possible samples of this size n, the average of the population will indeed fall in our confidence interval. Only 5% will fall where?
That's
Outside of the 95%. That's what they're trying to tell you. Okay? We're just going to move on. Hopefully that made a little sense to you. Or more. This is where you kick it into gear, guys. Grab a pencil. Here we go. Question. If you know that the mean of the sample is 108, the mean of the sample is 108, I would start like this. I would write down that information right away. The mean of the sample is 108. And the standard deviation is what? 10. Okay. What does that tell us about the mean of the population? Oh, sorry. 12 items are in the what? Sample. What would that be? What letter would that be? N. N is the sample size, right? What does that tell us about the mean of the population? Well, first you got to get this. Go get your margin of error. What is the margin of error at 95% confidence? You have to do this. Maybe write the formula once so you can at least get it stuck in your head somewhere. It's S over square root of N. Not 1.96 times S over square root of N. When you put the numbers in,
That 1.96,
Yeah.
is that just like the formula?
that, you know what that is, Jay?
What?
Jay, if you look back in the notes, that is the Z-score. That's the Z-score that goes with 95 percentile. Okay? Jay, that just never changes. Okay. S is what? 10. Square root of how many items were in my sample?
It'd be
4,
square root of
3.
12. Oh yeah, I know what you're doing. You're converting it. You're simplifying. Don't even worry about it. Take your calculator right now.
Okay.
Take that times that. Now guys, you have to use your grouping symbols with your calculator. Tell me the answer when you get it.
4.42.
4.42 is not what I remember.
5.66.
Okay, yep. That's what I remember. 5.66. Okay? Alright. Now, try to understand this. I took a sample of the population. I thought the average was what? What did I think the average was? 108. But guys, this is just a tiny sample. Am I off? Yeah, the sample doesn't really give you the population, it gives you something close. How off am I?
Not too much.
Well, I'm off this much, 5.66, right? Okay, so this is what you were trying to do. Find the margin of error at that percent. You're off by 5.66, okay? This problem continues now. All right, you ready? Here we go. Confidence intervals, that's what we're gonna write next. If you have a margin of error at 95% confidence from the sample, which we do, 5.66, the confidence of interval is the range of values that you are confident, 95% confident that the population mean is in. Okay, that got a little wordy. Would you agree?
Yep.
Did you follow that? I didn't the first time I read it. So here's the deal. How do you write the confidence interval? There is a formula, but really, you won't need this formula because hopefully it makes sense. What's this stand for? That stands for the mean of the population. We think it's 108, don't we? Are you with me? That's what the last problem said. Here's the deal. It's not 108. We're off. How much are we off by?
566.
Yeah, our margin of error was 5.66. So we're off by 5.66. Take the average. We thought it was 108, didn't we? And subtract it. So what it is, the average we thought was 108. Well, we're going to be off by 5.66 this way and this way. low and high. So take your average, subtract your margin of error. You guys, I can't do everything. Come on, let's go.
102.
102 what? 0.44.
Isn't it 3-4?
3-4. You're right. Okay. So your average of your population will be greater than this, but less than. Take your average, 108. Add your margin of error, 5.66.
113.66.
113.66. Okay. So guys, AKA, otherwise known as, you just what? What do you just do? You
Oh. Great.
On the margin,
you blank the margin of error to the mean.
estimate.
You subtract and add. That's all you do. You just subtract the margin of error, then you add the margin of error to the mean. That's all I did. I got the low end, I got the high end by subtracting and adding. That's all I did. Now see that? I am pretty confident that the average of the population is between here and here. How confident am I?
95%.
Okay? You might want to write this. I'm 95% confident, right? That mu is the average of the population, is between what two numbers?
102.
102, 3, 4 to what?
113.6.
Okay. Guys, if you don't know what a confidence interval is, this is what it is. I'm telling you, the average of your population is between here and here. This is what you say to yourself. I'm 95% confident that my average for the population is between this and this. 5% of the time, it will fall where?
Outside.
Outside. Lower than this or higher than this. 5% of the time. 1 out of 20 times it will fall outside. Guys, I've taught you everything. Just so you know, the rest of this is all just the same stuff. Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry, guess what? This piece is what I just wrote to you over there. This is the same exact question. Then it says, what is the margin of error in this question? It was what? 5.66. Then it says, what's the confidence interval at that percent? Well, we already know. We know the average will fall between 102 something, 34 to this, right? This is the confidence interval right here. When they ask you on the worksheet, give me the confidence interval, that's what they want. How sure am I? Oh, I'm pretty sure, guys, the average falls between low and high. How sure? I'm 95% sure. Can I move on? Okay. Here's another problem for you. I'm not sure, but does yours say 90?
95.
Yours says 90. Okay, good. A simple random sample of size 35 is drawn. The sample is what? 35. Okay, that's in. The sample mean is 18.4. Do this. Write your information down. The standard deviation is 4.5. Okay? Construct a 95% confidence interval for the population average, mu. Okay? Where do you start? ME. Margin of error. I think this is the average, but I know I'm off. How off? How off am I? Well, how off? That's the margin of error. Go find it. It's a formula.
That's extra.
Up on top.
35.
No.
Oh, 4.5.
No, standard deviation on top. Square root of the sample size on the bottom, 35. How far off am I?
Well, then I got you.
All right, Brock, redeem yourself.
Alrighty.
What is it?
Got it.
No, let Brock do it. He got it wrong last time. Come on.
1.5.
He says 1.5.
Nope.
1.49.
Brock.
Well, I rounded off.
No. What was the third digit after the
Yeah,
A 9, call it 0.
your decimal's wrong.
It's 1.
I think it's 1.49, isn't it?
I got 1.49. I got it.
Yep. Okay. Hey guys, you're off by how much? 1.49. Okay. Is this the confidence interval? No. No. The confidence interval will look like this right here. Ready? So you're going to say that the confidence interval is the population average will be between what two numbers? Well, you guys all know we think the population mean is 18.4, but we're off by 1.49. So what do you do here? What do you do here? Yeah, you subtract 1.49 and you add 1.49 to 18.4. Subtract it this way,
16.91.
16.91. Now add,
19.89.
say it again.
19.89.
Okay,
Wait, you do 18.4 minus 1.89?
yes you do. This
That's 16.5.
18.4 minus what I'm off by.
Oh, 1.4.
You got this, you got it all. Okay, okay, ready? Or Carlos, are you ready to go on? Everybody ready? Was that hard to do that?
No.
No, so take what we think is the average, subtract what we're off, add what we're off. So now, without me writing this down, can you tell me what this means? Somebody?
The confidence interval.
Just tell me what this is the confidence interval. What is it?
You're 95% sure that's between 16.9 and 15.9.
Okay, Bryce just said it. He said, I'm 95%. He said, sure. I would say probably confident. I like your word, Jay. Or Bryce, sorry. Confident. Sorry, didn't mean to give Jay credit. I'm 95% confident that the average of my population falls where? Between 1691 and what? 1989. Okay? Guys, I'm just practicing with you. Do one more, I think we're done. Try that one.
But
Nick, how about you do this?
Oh, by the way, yours says 90.
we have negative.
No,
Doesn't yours say 90?
that's B.
What?
It's B that says 90.
Okay, anytime you see 90, get rid of it, put 95. Always put 95. We're just doing 95. You gotta be quick. And by now you've figured out there's not much to this.
What goes on the bottom again, the sample size?
Sample size. Oh, by the way, here's the sample size. Right here. .7 is the standard deviation. Sample size was 40. Who wants to say it?
Rock, third time? No, either.
Come on, Jake. No, you talk.
Yeah, Jay.
Come on, boys.
Can't talk unless you got it. Isaac, what is it?
I don't have it.
Elsa, what is it?
I can't get those square roots.
Yeah, me
Two
Point
point-
what?
too.
88?
26.9.
Did you guys say 88?
I got it.
get 26.
I said 2.88.
I got 2.8.
Okay, now, go get the, go get the other one now.
Which one is it?
I think it's 288. Look at my notes.
That'd be the life, actually.
We done with school?
Can you raise your hand because I can't see my third page? Is this right? How many got that? 288.
No.
Just Bryce?
I can't do square
So
roots.
I got 2.32.
No, I don't know that one. Okay.
It should be 2.69.
All right. I'm gonna trust it, but I don't remember it. Okay.
170.
8.7 divided by square root of, oh shoot.
Oh, I'm doing
Your
1.69
calculator.
instead of 1.9.
I don't wanna use yours.
It should be 2.69.
Ready. Use
It's
this one.
2.69.
This is a good one.
Yeah, okay, great. Start using this more often.
I mean,
Here, here,
it's fine.
right here, man.
I know, but
Right.
It's 2.69.
Square root of
35?
35? 40.
It's 40.
Oh!
2.7.
Darn it, guys. It's 2.7. You guys, it's wrong.
2.7.
It's 2.7. You guys, it was 2.70.
Oh.
I don't know where you're getting the 288 from, but it's 2.70. Okay, so that would mean, take your average, which we think is 35.1, add the 2.70 to it, subtract it, get what?
32.4.
30, oh, this side? 32.4, what's the other side?
37.8.
Okay. That is, I'm 95% sure my average will fall between those two numbers. You get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for some reason, my notes have run away. I was going to give you this answer. Does anybody have this done? No? Okay. Well, that was all the part that I got to do.
Okay, don't forget to guide your homework.
For some reason, you are interested in, the homework's right there, don't you dare walk out without it. Okay? Okay. If you wanna do the bonus, it's really not that hard.
When did you?
It's due Monday, when you come in,
Planning at home?
half a point. Just kidding, half a million. 6 trillion. What do you want to do?
5.
5 what? 5 tenths? I didn't know, I haven't looked, it's worth your time, I'll make it worth your time if you want. It's just the last page of your notes. I didn't get to your last page. If you wanna do it, do it. If you don't, it's okay. That's your assignment. That's, you guys don't walk out here without green. Green is everything. I only have 3 left, and that's it.
Who's late to it?
Just 3 people.
What? Tell her who? Tell her what? Just tell her.
Where do you want this?
Angie's not even like, I don't know.
Okay, so with her long hair.
I just wanna make sure. I just kinda wanna ask everybody.
Yeah.
She cut it. I was like,
Hey,
Yeah, I don't like.
where are you guys on this lesson? Like, did you get it? Did you not get it?
I get it.
Middle?
I got it. Like I'm above the middle, but I'm not in the very top.
You're not at 100% now?
I'm in the 95% now.
Okay, alright.
I like it, I just don't
Are you okay?
like that I'm gonna have to keep looking back at the formula.
But once you do it once, twice, by the time you get your 3rd try, guess what?
It's gonna take me like 20 times to memorize.
If you didn't know,
Yeah.
on the
but
3rd
you
time,
know,
you'll get it. You'll just go.
Maybe, possibly.